Hello, everybody. Welcome to the upstreamlife.com podcast. I'm your host, Vishal Krishna. Today is a special episode because it's about storytelling and it is about brands. What makes good storytelling? Each and every individual will have his own answer. But a good story is about being coherent and being simple. It is about weaving the complexity of an idea into words and vision. It's a good story that makes a best selling novel a movie. And in fact, for those of you watching this, it also makes a great brand come to life. But not many people realize that. My guest today, Lakshya Kapoor, co founder of Qissa Studios, will answer that question for you. He's also the founder of Influencer Inc. And he will tell us why storytelling is a bedrock of everything that we do today. By the way, the company was founded in 2020 by his co founders, Chinmaya Sharma and Arnav Ban. Lakshya and Chinmaya were classmates at the MBA school in Symbiosis, Pune. A little bit of Qissa Studios. It is based in Delhi. It's a content production house that helps build exceptional video assets for all their products. Okay, it's an end-to-end solution for all content-related needs for a brand, whether it is DVCs, TVCs, web series, or a documentary. They are storytellers at heart who believe in conveying stories of meaning and purpose to get their client's narrative across in the best way possible. What makes them different? They have a huge pool of collaborators. They have freelance. They work on freelance project basis method. Their creativity has no age bar, by the way. That's what makes them different, right? They welcome people who wish to create something. The company's philosophy is that when opportunity comes knocking, it's all about opening the right door. That's why when you see that logo, it has a door in it. And what does a door mean? It means a door is something that leads to creativity that's endless and it opens up endless opportunity. The studios, Qissa Studios has worked with multiple brand campaigns like Beardo, Campus, Bodycraft, Truly Madly, Just Jelly, just to name a few of their clients, right? But before I get on with it, I got to talk about my sponsors in the show, right? So let me talk about Bonamere Coffee. Bonamere Coffee is your gourmet coffee that allows you to be your own barista, and it's a great way to kickstart any meeting and your busy work week. Now, for those of you watching this, Qissa Studios, can build great stories for your brand, right? Storytelling is very important. And Lakshya, I was reading in a report from Avendus Capital that there are 600 brands, D2C brands currently, but in 5 years, there'll be 6,000 brands, okay? And they will each generate, not each of them, but combined, they will all generate $100 billion of market cap or market opportunity. This is amazing because all of them need to tell stories if they have to sell their product. And that's where, Qissa Studios comes in. And why is storytelling very important for a brand?
So, in our perspective, we feel that storytelling is an eternal factor for every brand, right? So we have been told by marketing veterans that every brand has a story, right? When it started, what they wanted to achieve and why they wanted to do that, right? So we just want to amplify that bit of every brand where they want to come up with a story, and we want to create this exceptional video asset for them, telling what they wanted to communicate to their audiences, right? As we know that there are a lot of brands already working on storytelling, and that is because of the audience that's there, right? So now the audience has also evolved. Previously, 10, 20, 30 years down the line, there were brands who were just doing in-the-face marketing. They were telling us that, okay, this is a product, buy it, buy it. But with the evolution of the digital space and how it has disrupted and how it has become so dynamic that every day there is a new day on digital, right? Every day there is a new trend that's coming in. Every day there's a new story that's being told by hundreds of people that we call influencers, right? So it becomes very important for a brand to take that route as well, to connect to their audiences where they are, right? Previously, what we used to do was that the audiences used to come to the brand, but now the whole model has changed. Now the brands reach out to their audiences with relevant stories that these audiences relate to, and that is what we want to cater to, where we say that, okay, we are going to come in, we are going to build a story, and we are going to deliver to your audience what they need.
Let me talk about this, right? What does the word Qissa mean, number one? And what do you do that solves it better than others? Like you said, the world is filled with adverts, right? I mean, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, and all the way up till now, our TV ads do not tell a brand narrative or brand story. They don't capture it in essence. For example, if I use a Wow Skin Science, the founder is a very close friend. They know how to tell a story. and it's all digital, right? And what is Qissa? Let's start with this. What does Qissa mean, and what makes you so
So,
different from others?
in the old times when people used to sit down on nukkars and on chai stalls in a market, everyone used to bring their own kissa, right? The day-to-day happening of what happened during the day, what they did, if they came across something that was worth telling it to their friends, they used to come up with this kissa that we say. So it was more about oral storytelling in the rural parts of Punjab and India, right? So that's where the name came up from, and we thought that okay, we are gonna tell kissa for the brand. What's the brand's kissa, right? So that's where the name came up. And when you talk about how we are different, what we want to do, if you go right now, if you Google content production house based out of Delhi, based out of India, there would be hundreds and thousands of results that gonna come in, right? But our aim has been, because we also function on a freelance model and a project model, our whole aim, our whole motive is to build the greatest creative laboratory that can be built in India, where there is no age bar, where there are people who are beginners who want to tell a story, people who are experienced individuals, right? Because then again, I'll take the brand route, because sometimes the brands come up with stories that they want to tell, right? But they don't have that kind of budget, they don't have that kind of vision, right? And that's where we play in, where we tell them that okay, we have some experimental guys who are very creative, who want to tell their stories, and they can build something for you, right? Then there are some like the big four, the Fortune 500 companies who come to us and tell us that okay, we want to work with the best guys in the industry, right? So we offer them the same, right? So it's a place where you will find someone who has a 40-year experience in advertising, and it's a place where you find someone who yesterday woke up and decided that oh, I want to be a storyteller, right? So that is something that we want to build. We want to be inclusive in terms of gender, in terms of the creativity that they bring to the table. That's what we want to build.
Okay, I love that answer. And you talked about inclusivity, and inclusivity is many things. Like you said, it's not just gender, but it's also experience. And we
Yeah,
have all sorts when you come to Qissa Studios. Okay, let's get on to straight away with, yeah, people watching this would want to know, how does this whole thing work? A lot of people confuse PR and storytelling as the same thing. They're interrelated, but they're not the same, right? So where does a brand start? Say in the morning, actually, a brand reached out to me. It's called Jungle, by the way. I'll introduce them to you later. And and they're a beauty product brand, obviously. And they were saying, do we need to go to the journalist first, or do we need to tell a story first? I said, why can't you do the same simultaneously? But storytelling is harder. Meeting a
yeah.
journalist will be done by the PR team, of course, but storytelling requires you to understand the brand itself. So where do they start? Just some brass tacks on where do they begin? What is the discipline? Everything begins with I need a story. I need a story, pardon me. But where does it begin? Go on.
So what I feel is that storytelling is eternal, right? So every brand has to look inwards to find a story about their brand, right? Because we can go up to them with thousands of concepts, thousands of things that have already been experimented, right? But how will they make a difference? How will they tell their audience that we are different from the brands that you have already engaged with, right? So what I feel is that whenever I get on a call with a brand and they tell me that, okay, today morning I got up and I wanted to tell a story about my brand, right? I just tell them that, okay, take one more day, think about your brand, uh, look inward, look at the people that you work with, look at the products that you use, and then you come back to me and tell me that okay, this is why I'm different from the brands in terms of the product quality, or the or how we say that in terms of this story I want to tell to my audiences, right? Because someone who's working at Nike will have a different story than someone who's working at a different shoe brand, right? So what we feel and what we believe in as a team is that you have to look inward, you have to look around what is happening, and what you want to go ahead with. So just to sum it up in a line, I would say that storytelling is an eternal factor for a brand. They have to look inwards, for what they want to do.
Can you explain what looking inward means? Because I'm glad you brought Nike in, and it's a great case study because they said just do it as their tagline.
Yeah.
And whereas if you are an Asics user, Asics is another shoe brand. It's
Hmm.
also about lifestyle. It's also about health. It's also about keeping your knees proper. It's about running. There is no tagline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's two different concepts, right? So it's almost like one is saying that we won't make a statement, but people will know it, right? And the other one is, people say that, okay, there's this great tagline called I can do it, I can own up to it, right? So what is this inward looking thing that you're talking about? What does it mean for a brand? What
So,
do founders struggle with? Generally, what do they struggle with?
so I'll tell you, I have met hundreds of brands in my experience in the past 5, 6 years that I've been working in. And every brand has a different vision, every brand has a different mission, every brand has a different scope. Someone who wants to be a Nike still will have a different vision for their own brand, right? No one wants to be a Me Too product of any existing brand, right? Everyone wants to mark their own story, build their own audiences, whether it be a shoe brand, whether it be an FMCG product. We know that, okay, there are hundreds of fairness creams in the market, right? But every fairness cream has a USP to them, right? They have a unique selling proposition that they process. So we need to highlight that what is the unique selling proposition of your brand, and we will help you amplify it. We will help you build that story around that particular unique selling proposition. So that is what I mean when I say that you have to look inward and first get what the scope of your brand is, what the mission and the vision of your brand is. And most of the co-founders actually suffer with this, right? If upfront you ask me or you ask any other co-founder that, oh, tell me the values of your brand, or like it's a very marketing
Yeah,
class kind
it's a
of
very
thing.
easy question, but nobody seems to
Yeah.
ask what are your values like? I mean, and people struggle with it, right? Why is that?
Because people don't think through it, because it's a very fast moving world, right? Every day there is a new beginning. So people start brands, people do sales also, right? I can give you a lot of examples where people have done exceptional sales about for their product. But if you still go to them and tell them that, okay, what is the mission of your company, what is the vision for the next 10 years, they will still fumble, right? And that is where storytelling comes in, right? They also get a lot of clarity on what they want to do. So maybe the first video we will make with the set of mission and vision that they have, they might not like it. They will tell me that, okay, that is something that was different from what I actually thought, right? So this clarity is very important when it comes to storytelling, because see, when we create a story, we are gonna portray it in front of the audiences, and the audience is gonna interpret it in their own way, right? So it's not that sometimes people like I can give you another jewelry brand example. They came up with this ad which was about inclusivity, right? But they also got a lot of backlash from the brand's perspective. It was their vision to to create that story and be inclusive about everything. But to the audiences, it was a different interpretation altogether, right? So that is very important to bridge that gap between the audiences and the brand, right? So that is something that the brand managers and the co-founders have to think about before they tell
Okay.
me to build
Okay.
a story.
Very nice. And the other thing that they get confused about is they say one TVC or one DVC for multi-channel. Uh, I disagree with that because today Facebook is completely different. Insta has its own audience. Who will have its own audience? Twitter will have its own audience. It's almost like you need to have a multi storytelling format without losing the core value of the brand. Is it possible today? What would you recommend a young brand to do? Where do they start?
Uh, I have a very good example for this. I recently came through that particular example. There was this brand in the automobile industry, and they made the motorcycles out of INS Vikram, right? And they actually did this multi-channel same video strategy where they run the same video on different channels. And while, because digital gives you a lot of perspective than TVC, because you can't really narrow down on the audiences that is watching your TVC, but on like digital channels you can easily figure it out, right? So they got to know that a lot of response was coming from the south for those like for that particular DVC. So the next step was they actually dubbed the whole thing into different southern languages, right? Which actually spiked the sales of that particular product, because I guess the loyalty and the touch that that particular what do you call it, that particular thing had with the southern audience was much greater than that of people in the north, right? So it is very important to actually go city wise or go region wise than actually just pasting the same video on multiple channels. So it is very important for a brand to actually think through it. It has become better with digital because you can get the ROI statements, the analytics very easily, and some brands actually modify according to that as well, right? They improvise according to that, and that has resulted in like great sales, great numbers for them as a brand. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay, Lakshya, I want you to hear about your work with a lot of brands, right? A lot of people think storytelling is expensive, but it's not. They can plan it based on their convenience, right? And the budget that they have. Let's start with the work that you've done for brands and then break down the expenses for younger brands. So, what is the budget that they should keep aside for storytelling when the brand is about to be launched? Should they do pre launch or post launch? Or is the storytelling happening on the website itself? Right? Over to you.
So what I feel is that I wouldn't say that storytelling isn't expensive, but it depends on what kind of audience we are catering to, what kind of planning the brand has done for its particular product, and how innovative they need to go in terms of telling their own story, right? So we worked with Campus. Campus is a shoe brand, and they came to us last year and they told us that this is the first time we are gonna step into creating video assets for our platforms, and we want to first experiment with a very low budget and just see how the audiences are reacting to it. And we were like, okay. So we were like, do you have anything else in your mind? What do you want to target? So they told us that they had some pointers in place where they told us that, okay, we want to target the festivities because that's where a lot of gifting is happening. And we want to highlight how we want to celebrate festivals during the corona and the whole COVID situation. So we were like, cool. So we built three DVCs for them. We built a Diwali DVC, we built a Christmas DVC, and we built a New Year DVC where we spoke about different factors. For Diwali, we spoke about the whole experience of gifting and not meeting your friends, but still being there for each other on Diwali. For Christmas, we actually thought of gifting to the people who really need it, who are doing excellent work in what they do, but they don't have the resources, and how people are being generous on Christmas and gifting things to the people around them. And for New Year, we highlighted how we need to uh, be positive in the whole COVID situation in 2021, right? Though the story just turned up with the second wave that happened in April, but still, we wanted to have a very positive stance as a brand in terms of what we want to do in 2021. We need to look forward, right? Then then the audiences reacted to those videos in a very great way, right? There were a lot of comments about how the videos were. Uh, the we could easily see it on the number of views we were getting, on the number of appreciation posts we were getting, the number of free PR we were getting, right? Then they came to us and they told us that okay, this is working for us. So let's increase the budget. Let's go a step ahead and do something for Valentine's Day. And there they told me that let's partner with a dating app to have a combination of things happening in the video where we highlight how online dating and meeting new people is also difficult during this time, and we will like acknowledge it with our shoes, and we will have a great collaboration with the dating app. So then we got into a partnership with Truly Madly, where we showed that okay, there are two people who were excited to meet like who were experimenting on a dating app and wanted to meet a new person because they were bored with the circles that they were chilling with and talking to the same friends where they don't have anything else to talk to because there was nothing happening for anyone during the lockdown as everyone was at home. Then we started to build this story, and we also composed a song about how there's a lot of things happening, but still there has to be someone who has to be there for us, whether it's online or whether we just meet with all the safety protocols. So yeah, so these were the stories that we were building. We are still building a lot of stories for them on the same line, and that's where the budget comes in, because when a brand is experimenting on the very first go, they are very apprehensive of how the audiences are going to react, and that's a very fair point for a brand as well, because if they introduce something, if they experiment with something, they want to see the ROI coming back, right? Because nowadays everything has been revolving around the ROI factor. So if you hit the right chord with the audiences, I don't think so that any brand would uh, fumble in giving you a better budget for the next video. So I would say that it particularly depends on a brand, on
Okay.
how they want to cater to their audiences and how innovative they want to go with the video. Because we see
Okay.
a lot of because there has been a lot of disruption on digital in terms of
Absolutely.
CGI and
Yes.
whatnot, the whole green screen bit that has come in now, that you can create some like a world in just a room, right? So all of that technology is obviously very expensive. So if brands are open to that, it's well and good. If they are not, we have our
Okay.
the normal things that we have to cater to storytelling. So
Okay.
yeah,
Apart from the CGI, do you think it's still the actor actress led model where you have a combination of influencers, a combination of celebs? Does that still work for a brand, or a brand today says, no, my product is the hero, and let's make something around the brand itself or the product itself? Is that what do they look at? What do founders look at generally, say in different categories?
again, like there are two ways to go about it, right? So there are brands who will come to you and tell you that our product is the hero. This should be the film. This should be the whole film should be about that. Okay, our product is the hero. We need to just highlight that and be in the face with everything. But what I feel is, with the whole influencer universe coming up, and it is evolving each day. It's so dynamic that every day you see a new trend on Instagram, and brands actually leveraging that on their particular social media platforms. What I feel is that it gives you a lot of relativity when you see someone talking about a product than actually just the product in the video or in the statics. What I feel is it gives a lot of credibility to your product and a lot of relatability to your product, right? So that's what we prefer. That whatever storytelling, whatever influencer marketing activities that we do, it should be it should be human centric, right? I guess that's the word for
Absolutely.
it. That
Absolutely.
it should be human centric, because when I see someone of my age using a product that I aspire to use, I am more influenced to use that product than actually just looking at an ad of the product and its qualities. I would say that that human touch is very important. That gives power to your storytelling. That actually lights up the day for a consumer to see someone who he aspires to be there. And that has also been happening, because if you go back in time, the Shah Rukh Khans of the world, the Salman Khans of the world have been uh, introducing and like doing all these advertisements and
Correct.
aspiring people to use a particular product.
Correct.
It's just that now it has become more cost effective with the influencer universe, and it has
Right.
become more easy because you only have one Shah Rukh Khan in the world, right? You only have one Salman Khan in the world, but you have a lot of influencers who have a range of audiences that you can cater to, right? And every influencer has a different
Interesting point.
style of portraying.
Interesting point. Let's stick to influencers before we move on to
Yeah.
what should the budget be for a small brand, right? Uh, how does it work? I mean, do you micro segment, saying that, let's focus, let's look at, do you look at it by media channel? Do you look at it as, okay, this influencer as X number of followers, or this influencer as a voice in a particular area? So let us do a multi-pronged strategy, or is it one influencer, spray and pray kind of thing? Or would you say many influencers and focus on the same messages?
Again, I would say I would break it into two, where I say that if it's about, like, I'll just break it up for you and the audience that is listening to this, that if you want to target an opinion, or if you want to create an opinion for your brand, or if you want to talk about a social issue, I would prefer doing it on Twitter instead of Instagram, right?
Okay,
If I
right?
want to showcase the product, if I want to tell how beautiful the product is, what are the features of the product, and what the product has to do with the influencer or with the audiences that is connecting to that product, I would
Okay,
go on Instagram, right? Because that's where the whole glamour is, right? So we have to divide it in channels, whether it be YouTube, it be Instagram, it be Twitter, because all of these channels serve differently to audiences, right? So if like how there are brands trending on Twitter, right? So at that point they are doing something about movement marketing, about
mm,
like talking about an opinion on a particular topical post that happened that day, right? So it is communicating a different stance for the brand. But if the same brand is talking about their product on Instagram, there is a different way to do it. If there is a product integration video that's happening on YouTube, it's a whole different ball game, right? Because there is a video that's going on. For example, there's a YouTuber who's talking about something, or there's a comedy sketch that he's playing, and suddenly he integrates the product, right? YouTube is preferred majorly because of the wide range of audiences. The mass value of YouTube is high, because there are masses on YouTube. Uh, Someone who's sitting in a tier 3 city in India can also watch that video. He might not be on Instagram, but he has started to explore YouTube, so he can come across your product, right? It again depends on the segment of the product that we are dealing with. Because
fantastic
on
answer.
YouTube, if you see on YouTube, there are a lot of apps that are being promoted,
Okay, so
right?
if you say if I'm a guitar brand, I have to be on YouTube. You're saying it's mass. It has to be.
Yeah.
Or again, depending on where I want to sell the product, then I might say Instagram, I might say Twitter. So you choose this for the brand, right? You come study the brand and say this is where it should go and this is what the storytelling should be,
Yes,
right?
that's what we
Right?
do.
Okay. And sometimes to founders get too touchy when you say no, you got your narrative wrong. I've had those experiences. That's why I'm asking you.
I guess because, see, I'll tell you that every founder has its brand close to his heart, right? So you have to be very diplomatic in telling them those things, because you don't want to hurt them, you don't want them to be touched by what you say. So you have to build that narrative and give them, I guess, analytics to prove that okay, this would work better for you than what you are thinking. So I guess it's the part of that process. You have to be certain that you don't communicate the wrong thing to them, but also make them understand that why we are saying that. I guess the reasoning is very important. That plays the whole role, because I can tell you that okay, on Spotify, if we do a podcast, it's not gonna work, right? But you know it. If I show you analytics, if I tell you that okay, a video medium would be better to do a podcast, or like an interview, it is better. It is working for other people. It will also work for you. You might believe me because I'm giving you the analytics for it. I'm proving my
Absolutely.
point with data, because data has become something that everyone is talking about right now, and that is the most important factor that we are dealing with in terms of when we talk to brands. So yeah, if you provide data, I don't think so anyone's gonna deny that.
So the founders agree to that,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So,
they do, they do.
okay, very nice. Okay, now say people have I mean, like I said, morning somebody reached out saying, "Hey, we're launching a product now. It's available on our website. Go buy it." Right? It's a beauty product, and they haven't gotten into storytelling yet. It's just about buying. They've just done some brand creative images. Now they want to do a TVC, or not a TVC, or DVC, right? And they come to you, right? What is the budget that they have to keep aside? And like you said, you're going to grill them saying that, hey, this is your narrative, right? So where do they then say that, okay, I will, should they spend money on a DVC because you're saying you're going to give them data. And you're saying it's a dynamic thing. You're saying stories told today, 3 months later would be completely different. Right? In that case, what is the budget that they keep aside saying, I have to tell this story and do sales parallelly? Or should I say, I'll do sales first, and when I have more sales, I'll do a DVC? What would you advise? Go on.
So generally what happens is that sometimes a brand comes with a budget. They tell us that, okay, we have, supposedly we just have 50,000. What
Yes.
can you do for us?
They
Right.
say that? That's
Yeah.
those 50,000?
So yeah. People have come to me telling me that I have 20,000. I want to do
Oh.
videos, and I'm like, how are we gonna manage it? I mean,
Yeah, because it's
like there are
expensive for
human
you,
costs
right? I
involved.
mean, yeah, absolutely.
So
Correct.
they have come to me with a 50,000 budget, with a 20,000 budget. People have come to me with a 10 lakh budget, saying that, okay, I want to deliver, I want to get this out of my brand, and I want to tell this story. I have this budget. So my approach is that if I can make something out of 50,000 that will deliver to what that particular brand wants, I will do it. Because more than a teller, I also want to be someone who understands the market, who knows that, okay, this product is new to the market, the brand wants to experiment with it, and if this thing works, they are obviously going to come back to me and tell me, okay, now I have a higher budget because I have higher sales.
Okay.
Right? And that is what is happening with startups right now.
Yeah.
Startups, like the bootstrapped ones, not the product ones, but the startups which are bootstrapped, they don't have such high budgets, right? Because every penny that goes out, that's a cut on some other thing that's happening in the company, right? So we are open to work with them. We are open to give them best solutions that we can, right? Because now there are different mediums also. No, I am not telling you that, okay, I will only do a 2 minute documentary style story. I will only do a 1 minute story for you. I can also tell them, okay, I'll create some beautiful assets for you for reels on Instagram, which are just 10-15 seconds, right? I will make it like an in-house theme for you, right?
Nice. So
So
you also say that within that small budget, I'll make you videos in reels wherever there's an audience. That's brilliant.
yeah, because that is what is important, right? We need to reach out to people wherever they are, right?
Yeah.
Because nowadays audiences are not gonna come to us. We are gonna go to the audiences, right? So we have to reach out wherever they are. So if
Okay.
the budget is low, if the brand wants to experiment with smaller assets, just product shoots, or just like telling a narrative, like it can just be a frontal camera thing where a founder is talking about his brand. We can serve to that as well, right? Because something that we follow in our company is that whatever project comes in, we don't say a no to them, right?
Okay. We were talking about the costs, and I met a brand that's into ecological packaging. They want to replace the corrugated boxes that e-commerce companies use. Okay. They had a great idea. They have raised 70 lakhs of rupees to do business. They asked me, of the 70 lakhs, how much should I keep aside for storytelling and PR? Okay. I said you should keep aside at least 5 to 6 lakhs for that. Is that a correct number to talk about? Again, their objectives were to reach all e-commerce companies. Their objectives were to tell a story saying we are the replacement to these cardboard boxes that are heavy and really do not are not reusable in the environment, right? That they get dumped on the street or something of that sort, right? So, for such a brand to tell a narrative, right? How much should they keep aside, knowing that they've done 100K fundraise?
See, again, that depends on the involvement of the product. If it's a
Yes,
low involvement product or it's a high involvement product, what will be the sales
brilliant.
volume that they are looking at? And because again, it's an ROI driven world. If they spend those 5 lakhs, are they aiming to actually have a sales of like 10 lakhs and get that money back, right? So to start with, 5 to 7 lakhs is a very good amount, right? You can, because like it's a multi-channel universe, you can do a lot of experiments with reels. You can
Absolutely.
also make a single person driven DVC for that, and you can run media on that. Because see, again, if like, because we are talking about social media, I would say that, for example, if I am a brand, I have 300 followers, right? And I invest 5 lakh rupees on my DVC, and I don't run any media on it. So I'm just catering to those 300 people, right? So it is very important to complement it with media runs as well. So if I'm spending 5 lakh rupees on a DVC, I would prefer spending a lakh more on running some media on it to actually reach out to people who I want to, right? And just not
Right.
cater to those 300 people that I have. Because sometimes brands also make this mistake. They spend a lot of money on their DVCs, on their TVCs, but who is the audience that's viewing it,
Nobody
right?
knows.
There is
Yes.
no audience. So it's very important to actually spend that money and also look at the other marketing mixes that we can look into. For example, a best way to complement influencer marketing with a video asset is that you get these micro and nano influencers on social media. People with like 5,000 following, people with like 10,000 following. You can actually partner with them, tell them that, okay, we will give you products. You just need to put out a story for us and ask your audiences to check it out, right? Uh, so that also gives your brand a little bit of credibility that someone is talking about your particular brand, telling their audiences that, see, I came across this advertisement today, and it was a very like I connected to it in a very good way. So I'm sharing it on my story. That will also help you build your audiences, right? So it's very important to actually
Wow.
complement your
Wow.
DVC with
This is
media and
this is
influencer
brilliantly
marketing.
said. You're not really doing a DVC for the people who are already following you. It is for the people you want
Yeah,
in the future to come and see the product. But not many people think about it that way, yeah? The
that's what.
founders,
So
right?
these are suggestions we also make to brands that, okay, what is your vision with this TVC? Once it's done, what are we gonna do with it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
I'm glad
gonna,
you brought that up because you could just take the money and say, I'm done with my job. But
yeah,
it's in your, but brilliantly said. Yeah, go on.
but that's what we want to do. No, we just don't want to just take the money, create a DVC, tell a story, and put it on a creds deck, saying that, okay, we created this amazing DVC. We also want that relevance for the
Yeah,
brand and for the audiences. No, because we also want
yes,
our work to reach out to people, right?
yes,
Because when we work on a particular project, I think uh, of that particular product as my own product, right? Because that is the responsibility the brand has given to me as an agency. I want to think like them to create something for them, right? Because if I be on a different page and the is being on a different page, it's not gonna match when the product comes out, right? So I have to give them all these suggestions where I tell them that, okay, let's not create it for the audiences that are already there on your page, because obviously if they are staying, they are loyal bases
yes.
that you have. These are the loyal base of consumers that you have. We need to create for people. We need to create this DVC for the people who want to experiment and who want to know about your brand, right? So that's where the whole
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
complementary things come in from the
Okay,
marketing mix.
okay. We've talked about the business, we've talked about all this, but we've not talked about you. When did this journey begin for you? How did you meet your co-founders? On in the introduction, I said, uh, one of them was your classmate, right?
Yeah.
And how did this journey begin? How, I mean, were you always into storytelling? Is that how you got in? Where were you a technologist? Where what did you like about this part of the business that you came into it? I mean, if you could tell me how you met Arnav and Chinmay, also would be great.
Definitely. So I'll just start with how I actually got into the space. I was an economics student. Uh, I did my undergrad in economics honors, and I was an economics student. But in the second semester in my journey in Delhi University, I realized that, okay, this is not something that I want to do. I was always into theater. I was always into storytelling from my school days. So I always wanted to explore that side of the world and not just be an economist. Obviously, it's not a bad thing to be an economist. Or they run the country.
The economists have in the end, economists have to tell the story too, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
they do that too.
yeah,
So then I got introduced to a lot of people during my college, and I started with my influencer marketing journey. I worked at a few influencer marketing agencies, but from the very beginning, I always wanted to put all those learning into something of my own. Always wanted to
okay,
create something of my own. So then when I went for my MBA in advertising, uh, I actually started working on this startup that I had, the idea that I had, and things panned out.
was
Arnav
it
and I
called the
actually,
was it
yeah,
called the Influence Inc. at the time?
yeah. Previously,
Okay,
it was called the Influencer Inc. That is the
okay,
influencer marketing division, and I was running a lot of ads, on social media to recruit people, to build my team. And that's where Arnav and I met. He messaged me one day on Instagram, and he told me that, hey, I looked at one of those ads that you were running, and I want to work with you. And Arnav and I have no common friends, so there is no common link between us. And I was like, okay, but it's a bootstrap thing, so I don't have money to pay you right up front. But if you want to be the part of the process, we can start building something, and we can see how it goes. And that's where his role came in, and he started to do a lot of business development for us, because we were also telling our story to the world first. That okay, we have this experience, we want to do this with your brand, and we want to scale it up. So that's where he came in, and it's been a crazy ride since then. We work 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 days, and it's been a great journey for us. Then
As young founders, right, must be very tough, right, when you're selling also to brands saying that we can do this. I mean, a lot of what we do in life is also sales, convincing narrative that we can do this for
yeah,
you. Did a lot of people give you a hard time?
yeah, definitely. Obviously, there
Oh
are good
God.
times, there are hard times in this
Who
entrepreneurial
championed you?
journey.
Who championed you guys?
What? Sorry.
Which brand or which person championed you guys to really do well?
So I was interning at Social Samosa,
Okay.
which is a digital publication. You must be aware about it. And the team there and the co-founder there actually told me that okay, this is something that you can do, and this is what your expertise is, and we are with you. You do what you want to do, and he has always been very supportive of what we do, and we also do a lot of campaigns together and everything, and we have a very cordial relationship. So that's where I decided that okay, people will trust me if I tell them, if I be honest with them, right? So that's where the journey started, and then we like worked with one of the biggest clients in India, one of the biggest entertainment channels in India. So that has been a crazy journey. And then when Qissa was starting, Chinmay was my college mate, and he was the storyteller of our college. So I told him that okay, now you're back from Bombay, let's start something in Delhi, and let's build some exceptional video assets for brands in Delhi, and let's just see where it goes. And the rest is history. Now we are happy with what we do, and every day is a hustle for us, and it's a great ride.
Yeah, for those of you following this, right, they work with brands like Beardo, Campus, Bodycraft, Truly Madly, and Just Jelly, just to name a few. They have several other brands. Where can they contact you if they have to work with you?
So they can visit our page on Instagram. It's called Qissa Studios, and they can also contact me on my email ID, which is lakshya@qissastudios.in. Uh, so yeah,
Kissa being Qissa, guys.
yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, again, guys, it's Qissa Studios that we're talking to, and we are talking to the founder Lakshya and his journey and how they can help the D2C journey. And they just don't do D2C, they can tell stories for just about every other company out there and even the larger ones. Just go help the startup out. Right. Let's now talk about two important things. I can't let you go without asking these final two questions. One is I like asking people, what is your guide to happiness? The 30-second guide to happiness. How, I mean, we live in a very dynamic era, right? Our parents worked in one or two jobs all their lives, right? But in our case, we are independent creators. We are almost like individual warriors. We're out there. We are trying to tell stories. We're trying to win business. And it's not an easy life. You're constantly selling. So in that hardship, what is your guide to happiness in 30 seconds?
So my guide to happiness is I just do what makes me happy, right? I just believe that mental and emotional satisfaction is actually the key to happiness, and that's what I follow, and that's what I ask people to follow. That whatever makes you happy, just do that, and that's the way to achieve happiness.
That's a simple and straightforward thing. Just do what you love and don't give up. Right? Okay. What have you been reading or what have you been watching? Any recommendations? This is like a pop question.
So I don't get a lot of time to read or watch something, but whenever I'm on the go in transit, I'm listening to this podcast called Voice with Variko. which is
Voice with
why,
Variku, Ankur, by
yeah,
Ankur Variku. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
an amazing guy, an amazing Twitter
yeah.
personality, right? Founder of Nearby, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. I love his attitude towards life and about entrepreneurship and about personal growth, and that's what I've been following these days. Uh, so yeah, that's what.
In that way, India has changed so much, right? Today, if you look at the victory at Lords or the way we performed at the Olympics, India is very aspirational, right? And that's where good storytelling is the heart of everything, correct?
True, true, true. Because with 65% youth out of like 1.3 billion people in India, you have to be aspirational, right? We still have to achieve a lot of goals when it comes to our nation, and even our personal growth is very important while we are achieving those goals. So I guess being aspirational is a very good thing. If you just be content with what you have, you will have a very small life cycle. I think
Yeah.
that even if you are 40, you have to think like a 25-year-old, right?
I
You
agree.
have
Gone
to
are
be
those
like
days
that.
when a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old said, I've done 40 years of work in a company and I know everything. But today it's different. You need to think about technology, you think about the trends that are happening. I'm not talking about fashion. Fashion has changed, but I'm talking about the work you mentioned it. It's business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's what. You have to adapt, right? Adapting, like being adaptive to whatever is happening in the world is very important at this point, because if you don't, you will just be very stagnant, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you won't be able to grow. And because everyone, like how there used to be this saying that it's a rat race, but I wouldn't want to term it as a rat race, but everyone is upskilling right now, right? So
Yeah,
it's very important for
absolutely.
you to upskill and learn and adapt at this moment. And I guess if you do that, you will be always at the top of your game.
And that's the game we're in, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this podcast on theupstreamlife.com is about transformation of the self and of the business. So if you want to transform your business, go to Qissa Studios, go get a great story told. Thank you very much for watching this. Again, check this out on theupstreamlife.com. You can listen to this on Spotify, and the channel is upstream.life, or just visit the website. By the way, we are talking to Lakshya Kapoor, the founder of Qissa Studios. It's been an amazing, amazing podcast. Thank you, Lakshya, and all the best to you. And I hope to have you on another one soon.
Thank you so much, Vishal. It was great talking to you.